if you've watched my videos before, you can tell that I'm in a new space. This isn't my usual beautiful background with the plants and the ukulele. My ukulele is still here, it's just on the bed. But yeah, I moved to Paris, which is super exciting. If you follow me on Instagram, then you're gonna get all the updates as to what the hell I'm doing here and how it's going. I've been here for 2 weeks now, and I'm finally ready to upload this video. I actually filmed it literally over a month ago, I believe. So there are some references to the election before like Biden has won. Like I say some things in this video that are now outdated, but everything else is still really relevant, and I really enjoyed doing this video. I reacted to one of Shelby's videos. She's one of my favorite sustainability YouTubers, and I had a lot of fun reacting to this one and also talked a lot. I didn't even do my intro, what the heck. Hey guys, what is up? It's Amy and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on sustainable living for anyone and everyone because I believe we can all save the planet, so hit the subscribe button because I want to save the planet. So yeah, I already said what today's video is, and I think that's about it. Just enjoy, keep watching. Like I said, ignore my references to the election because they're very outdated and make no sense given the context, but it's fine. It's still a great video, I think. So I really don't know about this lighting. It could be good, could be bad. We'll figure it out when I'm editing this. I forgot my tea. I'll be right back. I'm back. Today we're just doing a regular old black tea. Let's start recording the screen and reacting.
There are quite a few things in the sustainability movement that we do not all agree on, such as who should champion the lead in all of this. Should it be
me? I think it should be me. I feel like in terms of championing it, I was going to write like a whole report on this for one of my poli-sci classes. If you guys didn't know, I just recently graduated and my major is political science and I minored in sustainability. I have the mindset that for there to be any meaningful change in the environment and for there to be any meaningful progress, and by meaningful I mean for there to be enough progress in the sustainability realm for there not to be like an ecological disaster, governments have to be involved heavily because capitalism isn't gonna fix anything. So that's kind of my thought process on this. I think governments 100% have to be kind of the leaders, which means we as people have to vote people in who are going to make the changes that we need to see in the environment, and we actually have to be involved in actually bullying our elected officials to stop bending to the will of like corporations and the coal lobbyists. Is that a thing? I don't know, but there's like oil lobbyists, basically these corporations that are super rich because they're profiting off of the environmental disasters. Government has to be involved because capitalism isn't gonna fix anything.
businesses? Should it be governments? How should we go about?
I just said that. It should be the government. Individual people can do a lot, but the easiest, the fastest, the most efficient way for there to be meaningful change is for the government to make laws.
Climate change, can it be accomplished under capitalism? There are a lot of things that
I feel like I keep answering your questions really early on, but yeah, capitalism is not going to fix anything. We tried that, it didn't work. Should I just go into explaining why capitalism isn't going to fix environmentalism? I'll do it. Basically, the reason why capitalism can't by itself fix environmentalism is that there's not an incentive for corporations to like stop dumping things into rivers because it's really cheap to do that. It's really cheap to burn oil and natural gas instead of using renewables, even though this is getting really complicated, but in the long run renewable energy tends to actually save you money, but it's a huge upfront investment. And if all these companies are like just doing it the old way and using coal and natural gas and not being sustainable, and you as one company, let's say you make shoes for example, you want to be sustainable and do things the more environmental friendly way, if you're not able to keep your costs low, then you're just gonna be priced out of the market. So what we have to do is we have to invest in the companies that are trying to be more sustainable. We have to give them the loans that they need to actually invest in the cleaner energy so that they can compete with the corporations that aren't being sustainable. And then we also have to tax the companies that aren't being sustainable through like carbon taxes and stuff, so that they're also, so then that's another incentive for them to not put out so much carbon, because if they're paying to like put carbon into the air, then they're gonna try to find ways not to do that. So that's like a couple ways where you can basically incentivize companies to be more sustainable, and that's how they're going to do it.
We cannot agree on, okay? Everyone has different perspectives and different approaches to this lifestyle, which is fine as long as you're advocating for the planet.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I try to preach on this channel. I feel like everyone has so much that they can do as individual people. You making the better... Hello?
Hello, today's date is Monday, October 12th. Immediate relief is now available if you fall behind on your student loan payments, which does put you in good standings, as well as possible loan forgiveness. Now, it looks like today...
That's actually the first one that's actually might have worked, because I keep getting robocalls of like, your car insurance or your car payment. What car? Are you giving me a car? But yeah, robocalls are so annoying. But anyways, as I was saying, I try to preach on this channel that everyone has so much that they can do as individuals. I can already tell I'm really gonna enjoy this video, because there's so much that individuals can do that has a huge impact on the planet.
But there's one thing about sustainable living that nobody can seem to come to a consensus on, and that is if living sustainably is more expensive or not. But regardless...
Yes, that is such like a big question mark. And this is kind of something that's annoying on both ends, people who think it is cheaper and people who think it is more expensive, because oftentimes it's not one way or the other. For example, if you live in like in the middle of nowhere, you don't have access to the same things that someone living in New York City has access to when it comes to more sustainable alternatives, and even when it comes to things like eating vegan. And another thing is buying in bulk makes it super easy to make being sustainable more affordable, but not everyone is able to shop in bulk. If you can barely pay for things as it is right now with your current budget and with your current lifestyle, it's gonna be really hard for you to be told that you now have to like buy 2 to 3 months of things ahead of time just to save money on like beans, for example. So not everyone can make it more affordable is what I'm trying to say, but there's other aspects of it that are 100% cheaper. So when it comes to being sustainable, the number one thing you have to keep in mind is that you just need to buy less things, which obviously is going to save you money. There are many ways that being sustainable can save you money, and I actually have a video on that if you want to go check it out. I'm gonna link it whichever direction. I think it's over here, could be over here, I don't know. I'm gonna link it up there, but I made a video on 10 ways that being sustainable can save you money, so you can go check that out to see what ways you can save money by being sustainable. But there's definitely other ways where by being sustainable you're gonna end up spending more money.
If you find sustainable living more expensive or more affordable for you, there's one thing that we cannot argue with, and there are quite a few things that you can do to live more sustainably that are completely free.
Period. I'm like smiling so much, but I'm really excited for this video because, like I said, there's so much that individuals can do, and free things are accessible to everyone. You can literally be 5 years old and be able to afford this, or like 500 somehow and be able to afford this. This is accessible to basically everyone.
And so today I wanted to share some of those free things with you. So let's hop into it.
This is what I'm talking about. Her videos are so aesthetically pleasing. Like, her editing just literally goes.
Number one is not only free, requires you to buy absolutely nothing. It is probably one of the most impactful things that an individual person can do when the entire population contributes, adds up to be a lot and have one of the biggest impacts, I think. And that is to vote. Please, please, please.
Yes. Oh my God, voting, please. Not even just for the president and vice president. Please vote in your local elections. Please vote in your county level, in your school board. Vote everywhere, because putting people into office who are going to have a better impact on the environment, like I was talking about earlier in this video, is what's going to make the biggest impact on how we move forward when it comes to environmentalism, because these people have so much power. Like, we don't have that same level of influence over what companies do, and we can vote with our dollar. That is very important to do, but we can also just vote, period, and that's going to have an even bigger impact into how corporations act. So please look up who you're going to be voting, but like who your candidates are in your area, and pick the ones that are going to have the biggest impact on, honestly, not just the environment, but with the criminal justice system, with your education system, with the housing system, the people who are going to make your life better.
Please vote to be informed as to what's going on, not just in national elections, but in your local.
People forget that. People think that the president and vice president, I think, is important, obviously, especially when it comes to international relations, when it comes to wars, when it comes to taxes, all that kind of stuff. Then the national government is really important. But the people at your local level also have a huge impact. We have a federalist system, you guys. So yes, the federal government has a big play into our lives, but the state level has basically an equal footing into how your life goes. And at the state level, those people have the power in things like the police system, the elections. So if you want the gerrymandering to stop, then vote the people out who are continuing the gerrymandering. At the state level, a lot when it comes to environment is decided. So put people into office who are going to advocate for the environment.
Elections. Admittedly, this is something that I'm not super good at, and that's largely because I've moved a lot since I graduated college. I also have a job that is very, very demanding of my time. But every single time I do have to vote, whether it be for the state elections, local elections, national elections, obviously get the most press. But no matter which of those it is, I do my best to look at all the candidates and decide which of them will advocate for what I believe in the most, and also advocate for other people.
Yeah, that too. Obviously, don't just think of yourself, and think about how certain elected officials are going to advocate in terms of other people, especially when it comes to minorities. If you're like a straight, white, rich man living in like Los Angeles, for example, in like a nice apartment, your life is probably great and you probably couldn't care less who's president, because like even if they increase your taxes, you're still gonna be fine. But you should consider how the government is impacting other people who might not be as fortunate as you, and just like vote for them, basically.
They're not quite as privileged as me in the world. Personally, I have 2 litmus tests that someone has to meet for me to vote for them. Well, assuming there is a candidate that stands for this, because sometimes there's just not even a candidate that stands for this. But number 1 is
that is such a struggle.
repealing the act that made corporations people and gave them autonomy, and said that
oh my god, I've had a huge debate on this with someone.
Corporations giving money to politicians is speech. I think that
yeah, it's not speech. Like, you can't make corporations people.
Corrupt the entire system and has led to so many issues in American politics. And number 2, obviously you have to believe in climate change and say that you will implement measures to move towards improving.
And it looks like this year it'll be pretty easy for Shelby to figure out who to vote for, because we only have one presidential candidate who believes in climate change.
The state of the world in terms of our climate. Take advantage of the civil liberty that you have to even be able to do that, because some people around the world don't have the same privileges. So please, please, please.
Or even people in this country, let's not forget about the fact that people who have gone to jail, served their time, and how now out of jail still can't vote. Make it make sense.
Do your research on the candidates that are not just in your federal elections, also in your local ones, and vote. It's free. The second thing you can do to help the planet for free today is to download the search engine called
oh my god, I have Ecosia. For some reason, when I restarted my computer, it like changed my search engine, but I'm gonna go back to it. Now, since watching this video, I just remembered that.
Ecosia. If you guys haven't heard of Ecosia before, I would be really surprised, because I've talked about them before. I know they run ads on this channel, and I'm a huge, huge fan of them. They've been linked in my description box for years. Ecosia, in simple terms, is what you can think of as the eco-friendly version or tree planting version of.
It's literally so easy because it doesn't change anything. Like, it doesn't change much. You can still search the same way. You don't really notice there's a difference.
Google. Basically, all you have to do is go down to the link in the description, download Ecosia, put it on your browser, and start searching with Ecosia. And what's going to happen is Ecosia earns ad revenue from ads that you click on when you search things, and they use 80 to 100% of that ad revenue, depending on the month, to plant trees. Obviously, I think it's super cool that
I don't know if they're nonprofit. They could be, but I love I love nonprofits and like companies that are for like different social or environmental issues that actually put the money towards that, because I don't know if you knew this, but aid organizations, like humanitarian aid organizations, don't actually have to tell you what they put their money towards. So if you're donating to one of these corporations, they could be putting 90% of that money back into helping people. It could be 10%. We don't know. So I love that she said that Ecosia uses 80 to 100% of the ad revenue to plant trees, because that's what you're using them for, so that's where the money should be going. Love that.
Just by doing what you do on a daily basis anyway, using the internet to search things, you can plant trees. And obviously planting trees helps with climate change, gives us oxygen, takes CO2 out of the atmosphere, all that good stuff. But Ecosia is a better search engine over others for other reasons as well. They're completely carbon neutral, and I think actually they might even be carbon
That is so awesome. Wow.
negative at this point. They take extensive measures to protect your privacy. They don't store your search history, and Ecosia themselves encrypts all of your searches. I'm super excited to be
Why have I need to go back to using Ecosia because this is so cool.
partnering with them right now because Ecosia is approaching planting 100 million trees. They're on track to hit that this week as you're watching this video. So I would love if my audience could join in and help them reach that milestone just by going to download Ecosia with the link in the description for completely free. If you do use the personal link that they gave me in the description, it's going to help me track how many trees we are able to plant as a community. And also, we've already planted hundreds of trees because I've worked with them in the past, and like I said, their link has been in my description box forever.
Okay, funny little joke here. Ecosia actually got the numbers wrong of what my audience, me, and all of you guys, how many trees we've planted over the last couple years of me working with Ecosia. It's not some few hundred. It's 43,000. So
oh my god, that is
people who have already
awesome.
downloaded Ecosia with my link over the years, we've planted that many trees. That's a massive contribution to the 100 million milestone. My mind is blown. So thank you guys so much for everyone who has already downloaded it. If you haven't already, definitely join that number so that I can keep track of how many trees we've been able to plant as a community. And I just needed to break in here and let you know that, because that's amazing.
So I'm very excited to share Ecosia with
That is literally so cool.
the rest of you from my audience who have not already joined in on the super cool search engine. Definitely check them out. They're a super transparent company, which I personally love. I know a lot of companies make...
Oh my god, like I think I was talking about this earlier, but yeah, transparency is so important, and the fact that they're actually using the money towards doing what they're telling you they're doing is literally so cool. And it's something that we don't see a lot in a lot of corporations. I think I was reading an article a while back about the fact that whenever there's a natural disaster, for example, like if there's a hurricane, there's a lot of like shady organizations that pop up to basically take people's money, and they're basically pretending to be an actual aid organization to take people's money and obviously just keep it for themselves. And people give them money because they think they're helping, but it ends up not actually going towards that. So having an organization like this that's actually helping and is super transparent about what they're doing is amazing.
Claims that they're doing all these great things, but Ecosia publishes their financial reports to the public every single month. Fully stand behind Ecosia, could not love them more. Hope every single person watching this video goes and gives them a download, because this is like the best sponsor in the whole wide world and it's completely free, and I really appreciate it when you guys support my sponsors, and obviously it helps the planet. Whole point of this video. Okay, let's move on to the next thing.
I need to stop doing this
to help the planet.
What is this?
The next thing you can do to help the planet for free is free, but it does take a little bit of your time, which is why it's not something I have been super involved in the past, but it is to get involved in your community. And that looks like different.
This is just a great way to like make sure that you are not just doing things for yourself that are going to help the planet, but you're actually helping corporations or governments, NGOs, nonprofit organizations also kind of push the environmental envelope forward. For example, I have volunteered in the past doing calling and texting and going to protest for an organization in Minneapolis called MN350. They're super cool. I love volunteering with them. So it's just a great way for you to like meet other people who are also doing the same thing you are, and just help these corporations, or these, I keep using corporations, but I guess they'd be more like organizations that are helping the environment.
Things for everybody. That can look like joining a local cleanup in your neighborhood, or maybe starting a cleanup in your neighborhood. That can look like going to city council meetings. That can look like so many different.
Yes, this is so broad, and whatever you are able to do it. Even in this pandemic time, there's so many things you can do online. Like I said, I've been volunteering with this organization, and you can basically do it all online. Like these texting things that you do, or like the calling, you can just, it's all on your computer, so you don't have to physically leave your house to do it. And like you can email your representatives to get them to like support environmental initiatives, even like your local leaders to support environmental initiatives. That's something you can do online while you're watching Netflix. So think about it this time. Next time you're watching a show on Netflix, pop out your computer or your phone if you're watching it on your computer, and start messaging your elected officials through their email, or calling elected officials to get them to support the environment.
But finding people that you share common interests with in your neighborhood or in your city is really beneficial for obvious just like social happiness reasons, but also for helping the planet. When people band together, they're able to make a bigger change. Obviously. For me, this also includes like writing or calling your representatives, which is getting involved.
Am I just a mind reader or what?
In your community and actively doing something to make change, which is something that I have been able to do over the years, because it doesn't take much time like some of these other things can. If you are not able to like
yeah, it doesn't really take much time, and you can literally do it while you're commuting to work, while you're watching Netflix. I was gonna say while you're doing the dishes. I guess you could call them up, and then as you're doing the dishes or sweeping, you can just have your phone on speaker and talk to your elected officials and get them to actually make meaningful change.
Do all these other things that require investments up front sometimes, that are better for the planet, etc. Look for ways that you can get involved in making change that costs you nothing, and that's definitely somewhere to get started. Next up, similarly to writing or calling your representatives, is to write to brands that you purchase from.
I've never done this before, and I've never even thought about it. This is actually really smart. I think it's just pretty clear that corporations, especially nowadays, pretty easily bend to the will of the people. So if there's enough people pressuring, for example, Coca-Cola into not using plastic bottles anymore, and they see that they're losing money from it, then they're gonna at least try to not use plastic bottles.
Talked about this before. I find it to be super important, and also almost every time I've written a brand with a concern, they have personally gotten back to me and told me how this feedback is really valuable, and they're going to work to improve what my concerns are. These days, brands are listening because of things like social media, and when—
yes, no one likes being canceled on Twitter, so if we have enough people canceling a brand, I think cancel culture should be put more towards brands, because they're more cancel worthy, especially when they're not just being bad to the environment, but when it comes to things like racism. Like, was it Gucci that had that turtleneck that was basically blackface? I think it was Gucci, but like they got canceled for it, so then they stopped doing that. Or like Bon Appetit, for example, got canceled for the discrimination when it comes to how they pay their workers. I'm really against bullying, but like I've mentioned many times in this video, we can bully corporations because they're not people.
Brands fuck up and they do things wrong, they are being held accountable.
This is a tangent, but kind of on the whole, like, brands are corporations, not people. Why is it that whenever a brand gets in trouble for something, like a company, especially when it comes to the companies that like make medications, whenever they get in trouble for like literally getting people addicted to opioids, why is it that no one gets in trouble then, and all of a sudden the people are separate from the organization? But then when it comes to voting, then corporations are people, and they should be able to put as much money as they can into a candidate.
So a lot of times when you're writing to them, they are taking in that feedback and they are making changes accordingly. So try to make that a habit, not only to write to the brands when you don't like something they're doing, but also to take the time to leave them reviews when they are doing something good and you fully stand behind the sustainability and the ethics behind their brand, because that helps people find—
yeah, that's a great way to like make sure that they continue doing it. Because when you get complimented on something, just think about it as you yourself as a person. Whenever you get complimented on something, you're just gonna want to continue to do it. So if a company is being praised for doing something, they're gonna want to continue to do it, because it gives them the red light, or it gives them the green light that they're doing something good.
And that brand, when you actually leave reviews, much like when you leave a like on this video, it helps people find this video. So can you stop right now and—
yeah, stop right now and like this video.
do a thumbs up for me. Next thing you can do that's completely free is a little bit of a nuanced one, but is to be informed. Being informed is a really powerful tool as a consumer.
The news, I mean more than one news organization. I try to get my news from multiple sources, right-wing and left-wing, not Fox News. I tried Fox, I really tried, you guys. Not because I like them, but I wanted to like make sure that I'm up to date onto what like the conservative perspective is, because if you didn't know, I'm pretty liberal. But I was like, okay, Fox News is pretty popular for people who are on the right, so I was like, I'm just gonna listen to some Fox News every once in a while, and I just can't. But I try to get my news sources from both sides of the aisle so that I can stay up to date on not just what people on the left are saying about things or what's happening, but also what people are thinking, because it makes it easier for you to like advocate for your own opinion if you know what the other opinion is, and you can like, you already know what to say to like, I guess like, not that everything is a debate, but I'm super into politics and I love debating people. So yeah, it's really important to stay informed and to stay up to date on what's happening and also what people are saying as well.
And knowing what certifications are helpful to brands when you're supporting them.
Why did I always go into politics with things? But yeah, when it comes to like the environmental realm, it's important to know what certifications are actually good, because a lot of corporations, when it comes to greenwashing, I actually have a video on greenwashing that you should go check out. But one of the things I talk about is the fact that it's not really a fake certification, but an actual certification will have a third party verify the certification. So for example, if I'm a makeup company and I create a certification and then certify myself, that's just sketchy. That's not how certification should work. What should happen is that I, as a makeup company, I go to a separate company that isn't going to be influenced by me, isn't going to benefit or not benefit from me being certified. I go to them and then ask them to verify or to certify me and like whatever, like to verify that I am cruelty free or something. Like it should be a separate organization certifying my organization. So it's really important to know certifications, at least the basic ones like cruelty free, vegan, organic. Make sure that you know those so that you can be wary of like the super random ones that could potentially be not third party certified, if that makes any sense.
Knowing the most updated science when it comes to climate science, plastic pollution, all those sort of things, so that when people ask you about it, you are informed, and so that you are voting with the information that you know. Doing the research to know those sort of things is completely free and can help.
Yes, it's so important to know what's up, because then when people ask you questions, you don't look like an idiot, because I've had that happen to me before. So it's important to know what's up.
Help you weigh your options when something is more expensive, to know if it's even worth it to spend more on. In some circumstances, the more expensive option may not even be worth it, because maybe you personally know the footprint of avocados that have to travel so far, and so you know that they're not so great for the environment because of their greenhouse gas footprint, even though it's
Yes, if you're informed, then it's a lot harder for corporations to greenwash you. So stay informed, know what's up.
More expensive, and it seems to be something that all vegans eat. You don't really need to buy it, and you can save the money there. Being informed, doing your research is completely free.
I need to stop the hand signs, I swear. I don't know why I'm doing it. I need to stop.
To do in today's day and age with the internet, so definitely make sure you're doing that. To reuse.
Period.
Reuse things in your home.
This is probably like my favorite tip in this whole video. I once told someone that I hate recycling, and they're like, wait, what? I thought you were like sustainable. What's up with that? My reason for, I don't hate recycling, by the way. I just hate the messaging around recycling, because recycling has turned into this thing where it's like, it's fine that you're buying plastic bottles because you're just gonna recycle it, so it's fine. That's not how it works. Your first thought should be how you can reuse something. So instead of buying plastic water bottles just to recycle them, just get a reusable one, because then that's a lot better for the environment, and it's also a lot cheaper, you guys. In this video, it's ways that free things that you can do, but reusing makes things literally cheaper, because then you don't have to keep purchasing things. So I think it's really important to get away from the idea that recycling is your first stop to being sustainable, and consider how you can reuse something. before throwing it away.
Before you ever go out and buy something, or just find ways to reuse fun things in your home. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on reuse because I think a lot of people watching this video know that you should be doing it, and sometimes it can seem challenging to keep up with things in order to.
I love reusing like glass jars, not just for the aesthetic, because the aesthetic is there, but it's just cheaper than, first of all, going out and buying mason jars. It's cheaper, and it makes sure that you're like, what's the point of recycling your glass bottles and then going to the store and purchasing brand new mason jars? Like, you could have just reused the glass jars that you threw out. A lot less energy wasted there.
Reuse them, or to be constantly finding new fun and actually.
We had these like Coke bottles, and my sister spray painted them black, and then we put like flowers in them, and that's a great way to like turn like garbage or something that would have been recycled into decoration that can now the point I'm CEO of never finishing videos the first time I film them. But it's the next day. It is now Tuesday, and I have a new cup I have a new cup of black tea. Like, these videos usually don't take too long to film, but for some reason I'm just talking a lot. I think for 10 minutes I watched like half of the video, and the video clip I ended up capturing was like almost 40 minutes. So I'm talking a lot for this video, and I don't know why, but it's just, I have a lot to say, you know? So we have the video up, and I'm just gonna start recording.
Recycling something that you are to keep up with things in order to reuse them, or to be constantly finding new fun and actually useful ways to be reusing something. I get that, but reusing things is better for the planet, and it's completely free to reuse.
Just think about how many things you throw out when there could be a second purpose for it. Just like, if you were to just walk around your house, or better yet, look through your recycling bin. I'm not gonna look through the garbage, but like, if you look through your recycling bin, I'm sure there's a couple things that you can look and be like, wait, I could use this as a candle holder. And honestly, if you think of reusing less as like using something twice, but just as like repurposing, then you kind of get a broader sense of how you can reuse things. Because sometimes you can't use something twice, but you can use something for a different purpose, a purpose that it wasn't meant to have. For example, if you go to the store and they give you a plastic bag by accident because you weren't fast enough to give them your reusable bag, and then they force you to keep the plastic bag. That's definitely happened to me before. Instead of throwing away that plastic bag, why don't you use it as a garbage bag for like your bathroom or something? That's like a way to reuse something, because now that plastic bag has more than just the single purpose that it was meant for, so it's been reused.
Use things you already have. My friend Aime from Sustainably Vegan actually recently made a video of 100 ways to reuse. I don't know how she did that. Well, I do know how she did that. I helped her on some of those in the video. But my point is, I'll link her video below if you guys want some reuse ideas. And
that would be a fun video to watch. I don't think I've watched it yet.
The whole point of this one in this video is that reusing is completely free and really helpful to the planet, because you're not buying anything new, and you're not.
One of the biggest things about sustainability is about decreasing demand for new products being created. So when you reuse something, you decrease demand because that's something you would have had to buy.
Throwing anything out. Similarly with reusing, you can upcycle things, and these two are so similar. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it.
I love upcycling things. It's so much fun. It's a fun way to get creative. Honestly, kind of like the same as reusing, because you take something and you give it a new purpose. You give it new life, either by like painting it, by, I don't know, cutting it up, like turning, if you have a pair of short, skinny jeans that you love and then they rip somewhere and they're not wearable, just chop them up into shorts, and it's not upcycled and it's not something you can continue to wear. I feel like upcycling oftentimes comes up when it comes to clothing, but this is something you can do with a lot of things.
But my point is that upcycling something that you already have into something new, again, completely free to do. It might already be on my TikTok by the time this video goes up, so make sure you're following me on TikTok if you're not already. But I'll be upcycling a shoebox.
Am I following her on TikTok? Are you following me on TikTok? Because you should be. I don't make TikToks about sustainability. I really should, because TikTok is like my most successful social media platform. I am following her on TikTok, of course. She's never showed up on my following or free page. I need to watch more sustainability TikTok.
Into a DIY projector. This is just something fun I saw on the internet and I wanted to.
Oh my god, projectors are so cool. You can just like put it onto a wall, any wall, and boom, you have yourself a TV. So I've considered getting a projector. My friend had it at her apartment and it was pretty cool. Just a really easy way to like turn anything into a TV.
To give a try. So I'm going to be doing it for a TikTok video because that's my life now. I'm a TikToker. Upcycling is
literally same though. I joined the TikTok, what is it? Creator account, creator fund or something like that. And so far I've made like $4. So that's $4 more than I've made on YouTube. So
free. So when you say sustainability is expensive, do you know about these things? And like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on reuse, on upcycling. I won't spend a ton of time on this one, although I think it is the most important thing to keep in mind, and it is to use what you already have.
I knew she was gonna say this. Literally the easiest, fastest way to be sustainable is to just decide not to buy something. Obviously, there are certain things that you have to buy. You need food, you need clothing, you need housing, you need even certain things that you don't need to buy, but you need to in order to feel like a human being. Like, do I really need to drink tea? No, probably not. I could survive without drinking tea, but it makes me happy, so I'm gonna buy tea. However, there are certain things that we buy not because we actually have any desire for them, not that we actually have any need to buy them, but because we're pressured by society, or it's something that we've just always bought, so we just continue buying it. And those are the things that you just need to stop buying
until it is gone. It is completely free to use up what you.
I spoke too soon. I think she's just talking about using things up, but what I said still stands. There are certain things that you need to just stop buying because you don't need them.
Already have, instead of running out and buying the more expensive or more well-known or more aesthetic things for zero waste. I understand why these.
Oftentimes when people get into the sustainability movement, they throw away everything they have to be sustainable, and that's just a big no-no. The last video that I reacted to on my channel was this girl who was talking about, I think it was like 10 ways to make your home more sustainable, and one of my biggest critiques was that in that video, not once did she mention that you should use up things you already have before purchasing these new items. And in fact, the sponsor of the video was like a mattress company, and she was basically like, buy this mattress to be more organic and sustainable. And I was just like, but if you have a mattress that works, keep using that mattress. And she didn't once mention that. So I feel like a lot of people watching that video could get the idea that it's more sustainable to just buy a new organic mattress rather than just using up the one you have before putting in the demand for a new mattress. So using things up that you have before investing in the sustainable options is so important, because once again, the biggest thing is decreasing demand for products that you don't need. And if you throw things away before using them up, you already put the demand out there for that product. So you throwing away is just plain being wasteful, and it's not going to help literally anyone. Like, just use things up and then you can think about purchasing the more sustainable option.
These things are tempting. I understand why the Tiffins are cute and the glass straws are cute and the stasher bags, all be them very useful. They're also really cute. I understand why people look at zero waste and go, I can't buy all that stuff, I can't afford to do that. And so that's why zero waste ends up being called expensive, whereas in reality, you should be using what you already have. Use up the Ziploc bags.
And kind of more than just using up things that you already have, there's certain things that you never have to get rid of. I did this before even considering the impact of it, but please don't buy mason jars brand new from the store. Like, there's no need for that. You can just reuse glass jars, or if you really want to, which is free by the way, reusing glass jars 100% free, and that's like repurposing something that would have gone to waste. Or you can just go to the Goodwill and buy mason jars. But like, there's certain things when it comes to zero waste that you get pressured into buying that you really don't. Another one is straws. Like, I was never a big straw person, even when it comes to like plastic. The only times that I would use plastic straws is if I went to like the store, like if I went to like some kind of restaurant and they gave me a straw. That's when I would use it. I would never myself be like, oh, I need a straw. That's something that I didn't buy. That's not something I was ever gonna need to begin with. So just because you're zero waste doesn't mean you need to buy all the things in like a zero waste kit, which is why I also advise against purchasing like these zero waste kits, because that's just over consumerism on the opposite scale. Like, unless you know you're gonna need everything in the certain kit, don't buy the kit, because then you're just buying something that you wouldn't have wanted to buy, but because it's in the kit, you're probably going to use it because you've already purchased it. But if you weren't going to buy it on its own, then please don't buy zero waste kits. But yes, plastic straws are one of those things that if you weren't using it before you went sustainable, don't buy it just because everyone else has it.
You have. Use up your plastic toothbrushes that you have stored under your sink. Use the plastic Tupperware you have, although not to put it in the microwave. Please don't do that. But use it.
Yeah, don't do that. That's another one. In that video that I was talking to you guys about, oftentimes in these like zero waste swaps, they don't mention to like not throw away things that are still usable, I don't know if that's a word, useful. For example, when it comes to plastic Tupperware, don't throw it away, just repurpose it. I have like plastic containers that I use to store like for organizational purposes. I don't use it for food, but I use it for organizational purposes, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a way that you can repurpose plastic in a way that it's not like coming into contact with water to like decrease the occurrence of microplastics getting into our water systems, then it's perfectly fine to use plastic products.
Use up the things you already have and then replace them. You don't have to come to zero waste and spend all this money to buy all these things. I've been getting so many comments on TikTok that living sustainably is expensive, and in some ways I understand that like a bamboo toothbrush is often more expensive than a plastic one, because plastic is made of oil, which is subsidized by our government and has so many other ethical and sustainable issues that are taking shortcuts.
We love government. See, that's what I was talking about earlier in the video. Governments can be on our side. Like, if the government wanted to, they could subsidize renewable energy. They could subsidize bamboo toothbrushes, and it would make it cheaper to use bamboo toothbrushes, and then the oil industries would, like, everything to do with oil would become more expensive and people would buy that less. Come on. Like, the government can definitely be on our side and help us when it comes to making living sustainably more affordable. That way more people, not just because they want to be sustainable, they're going to choose to be sustainable just because it's cheaper, which is amazing.
I digress. Please do not think that in order to start living a sustainable lifestyle, you have to throw this away to go and buy this, because that's not the case. This next one I'm talking about is the biggest reason living sustainably has saved me so much money. And it is because I basically stopped buying shit.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier when she said to like, or her prior point, like her point right before this when she was talking about not buying things to replace. This is what I was thought she was talking about. Just stop buying things that you don't need, even if it's sustainable. And I use this because there's a lot of things out there that advertise themselves as sustainable when they're just consumerism, but eco-consumerism, which is not good. It may make you feel better, but eco-consumerism is probably just as bad as like normal non-greenwashed consumerism.
I read the story of stuff, must have been in 2012, and I didn't allow myself to buy anything that wasn't secondhand, number one, until I paid off all.
I can't. This video, I'm sure she had like some anxiety like walking through the store and like putting things into her cart, but man, when I like started to have a more sustainable lifestyle, one of the hardest things for me was to just not buy things, especially clothing, because even just like going, like I just had to stop going to the mall and stuff, because especially going to like a super affordable store like Forever 21 or Target, oh my god, Target Target is the worst, you guys. Going there, like I will just look down the aisles and I'll be like, why do I just want to buy things? I don't need any of, like, I know I don't need any of this, but I still want to buy it. So it's real, I know it's hard, but you have to train yourself to consider the impact of what you're doing versus like the positive impact of things. For example, there's a huge positive impact to clothing yourself and not walking around naked. Obviously you need some clothes, so you can't just like go naked. Obviously there's a big positive impact, but the more and more things you keep purchasing, the less of a positive impact, because what is the positive impact of having 3,000 pieces of clothing? almost like the 3001 shirt that you buy is gonna have basically zero positive impact because it's not something you need, but it has a huge negative impact. So when you consider it, that last piece of clothing that you just bought, not important, and you shouldn't have bought it. So obviously you need to buy things, but stop buying things you don't need to buy is what I'm trying to say.
All of my loans from college, which I did in 2017. I basically
Ooh, student loans. Can't wait to pay those off.
did a no-buy for 5 years. The first thing you should do when you want to start living.
Maybe I should do that. I mean, it's gonna be hard though because I'm literally moving to a different country in like 3 weeks, so I obviously am gonna need to buy certain things.
Living a sustainable lifestyle is conduct a no-buy, either for a month, for a year, 5 years, whatever it takes to make you realize that as soon as you get
when I was in college, I would do like no-buy weeks. So basically like out of the month, I would have 1 week where I just wouldn't buy anything, and it was really helpful. Sometimes it was hard, sometimes I would definitely cheat. This is something that's not just like environmentally, but it's also financially. You end up saving a lot of money when you don't buy things that you don't need, or when you don't spend on things that you don't need to spend on, including going out to restaurants, going to places, like buying things for like a party. There's just a lot that you end up saving money on that you realize you didn't need to buy when you just go on a no buy, no spend, no buy, whatever, week, month, year, however much you can do it for.
the inkling that you need to buy something, you process that and realize that you actually don't.
You actually don't. That's it. That's literally it. You just have to train yourself to realize that every time you're like, I want, no you don't. You actually don't. This is the reason why it's so powerful, so important to unfollow accounts that make you want to buy things. Unfollow, like unsubscribe from newsletters that make you want to buy things. Try to stay away from going to the mall. Just do it. Don't go to the mall. Don't go to stores where you have the option to buy clothing and all the, like Walmart and stores like that. If you can't stay away from those aisles, just go to a regular grocery store that only sells food. That way you're only gonna buy food. So it's really important to basically take yourself out of a situation where you are making an impulse decision to buy clothing, to buy shoes. Mugs was the thing for me. When I tell you guys I had a mug obsession, literally I'd go to the store and I'd buy like a mug just because I saw a mug that I liked. So take yourself out of that situation and you won't be tempted to buy these things.
America is a society built on people who do not have the money to own the things that they do, and they put those things on credit cards and get themselves into really hard places for things that they don't need. I'm just going to speak from
The problem with this is that not only is it detrimental to you financially, but it's also detrimental to you mentally, because you end up just continuing this rat race of like, oh, what else do I need to buy to make myself happier? What do I need to buy to make myself like all these people on Instagram who have like 300 swimsuits and they're happy? You can't keep buying things to make you feel a certain ways. One of my favorite financial YouTubers, The Financial Diet, talks a lot about this, and she talks about how it's important to separate buying things from like, it's important to not think about buying things as a way to like make you feel a certain way, because like buying a Louis Vuitton purse is not going to make you feel rich if you're not already rich. Like if you're a poor person and you spend all of your savings on a Gucci belt, you're just going to feel like a poor person wearing a Gucci belt. So that's just not going to be a fun feeling. So separate purchases from feelings. So basically just make buying things as like a necessity, as more like a utility, more than it is like a way to feel a certain way. Money is just a means to an end, and usually the things that we buy with our money are also just a utility. They're also just a means to an end. So we can't use the things that we buy to make us feel a certain way. We have to get that from within, and buying things isn't going to help us feel happy. It's not going to help us feel loved. It's not going to help us feel anything, because it's just, they're just things.
Personal experience that I racked up a credit card in my teens that was upwards of 5 figures for things I could not repeat.
5 figures, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like $10,000. Holy shit. That's literally more than I That's like more than my student loans from college. That is so crazy. Wow. I'm so happy that I come from a family where we're not super overly consumeristic, and it might be because of our culture as well, but like my parents raised me to be financially smart, and I really thank them for that, because otherwise I don't know where I would be. And it definitely would, honestly, could be $10,000 in debt, like in credit card debt, if my parents hadn't raised me to think about how I buy things and think about purchases the way that I do. So I thank my parents for that, and I feel bad for anyone who is literally thousands of dollars in debt because of buying things that they now cannot even imagine why they would ever have wanted to buy.
To you what any of them were, because I didn't need any of them. Even people who do not have the money to be consuming, the reality is that in the United States, they are, because we value capitalism and consumerism over most things in this country. And so likelihood is you
Preach. Like I said, this video is just a diss track on capitalism. I hate the way we think about money, the way we think about economics, how we literally put like capital, we put money and wealth over people. So oftentimes the reason that capitalists, the reason that like all these rich people, like the reason that they defend the spending habits of Americans, the reason that they defend the way our economics works is, well, if people stop buying things, then everyone's gonna not be able to pay to like buy food. And I'm just like, that is not true. The rich people in this country literally hoard the wealth, like the Jeff Bezoses of this country. They hoard the wealth, and then they put the onus of the livelihood of the people who make them money on the consumers themselves.
Watching this, you also live in a consumerist society and are used to buying things at a whim. First thing you do when you come to a sustainable lifestyle should be to stop buying things, because the most sustainable thing is the thing that you already have. Did you know that 44%, nearly half of all junk mail, goes straight to the landfill? And did you know that that results in
going paper free? Oh my god. Okay, so for a couple of weeks I worked at a bank, basically like I basically received the mail that the bank sent out, like statements and stuff and letters that it would send to people who had to use credit cards and stuff. That got sent back because like the person moved or something. Do you know how much paper I processed every single day? It just astounded me how much paper is going to waste because people aren't going paper free. You literally do everything on your computer. Please go paper free like today.
And 51 million metric tons of greenhouse gases a year. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So another free thing you can do to help the planet literally right now is stop your junk mail. I have a whole
she's about to explain how.
video on how to stop your junk mail. I'll link it below and I'll link it up here too.
I want to watch that video because the only thing that I've been able to do is like go paper free when it comes to like my statements for my credit cards and my debit card. But I don't really get junk mail because at least like I live with my parents right now, so any junk mail isn't my junk mail, it's technically my family's. So I'm gonna try to see if we can get that done because we never use any of it.
I know this is the best solution if you live in the US. I've heard that other people just put like a no junk mail sticker on their mailbox, but I feel like that just results in things getting thrown out. It doesn't stop the junk mail from being produced. I'm always talking about how we need to stop the stuff at the beginning instead of at the end.
Yeah, that's like another, like one of the, if you've watched any of my videos, then you know that I have some qualms with like the zero waste movement. And one of the biggest things is oftentimes when it comes to zero waste is people thinking about the waste that they physically have to see. So putting a no junk mail sticker on your mailbox, yes, is gonna stop the amount of things that you personally have to like be responsible for, but that doesn't stop the waste from being produced in general.
And so actually getting yourself removed from those lists is what's going to be best for the planet. I recommend just calling or using the databases that can get you removed from those lists, but stopping your junk mail is completely free and it's going to help the planet immensely from the data I just gave you. Next up, we've got a handful of things about clothes, and the first one is to wash your clothes less. I really want to.
This is literally me. I mostly do it because I'm a lazy person, but I don't really wash my clothes until they're dirty or they smell. Like I'll probably wear something a couple of times before I actually wash it, but apparently some people literally will wear something and then wash it like wear something, take it off, put it in the laundromat. Like, that's just, I don't understand why. First of all, that's just gonna make your clothing not last as long because you're washing it so much and it's using so much water. I don't get it. Plus, it's just more work for you.
I know, in the comments right now, do you wash your jeans after you wear them once? Do you wash shirts after you wear them once? Do you wash almost anything after you wear them once? Because I don't. When I was a kid, my parents would literally only wear the items that they were wearing one time and throw them into the washer, and I thought that was normal. And apparently, most people don't do that. And I'll tell you one thing, after folding my parents' underwear and socks for freaking years, when I started doing my own laundry, just my laundry, you bet your ass I was never washing something after I wore it once. Who wants to do laundry that often? Obviously, not washing your clothes as often as every single time you wear them is going to cut down on the amount of times you have to wash your clothes, and this saves money in so many different ways, right? Your water bill, your electricity bill, your detergent bill. All of these things will be cut significantly if you wash your clothing less. It also helps your clothing last longer because the machines can be kind of hard on a lot of our clothes, and so washing them less is a lot better for the planet, saves you money, and it's better on your clothes, which in turn saves you money too. I think you guys know that when we moved into this new house, I started hang drying my clothes and have not stopped singing the praises of that because it's something I wanted to do for
This is something that I've also wanted to do. I don't know why I don't just do it. But I'm moving to France and they usually don't have like washers. They usually don't have dryers like in the apartments. They usually just hang dry things. So I'm gonna go back to doing that when I go to France.
So long, but didn't have the space and could not be more grateful for my space over there to air dry our clothes. That is completely free. I mean, there are ways to hack it to where you can just like hang up something that you have, you can hang it around your house. There are ways to do it where you can do it for completely free, but the actual act of hang drying your clothes is free. Sometimes you have to buy a rack or a line. So I've really liked doing this because it helps maintain the shape of my clothes, and because obviously not using your dryer is going to result in you using less electricity, less greenhouse gas emissions, and save you money overall. Next two kind of go hand in hand, and it is either hand-me-downs, borrowing clothing from your friends or family, and clothing swaps. These are all ways of getting clothing without having to buy absolutely anything and reusing.
Stealing it from your sister. Or your mom. Or your brother. I've done that too. Really great way to get free clothing.
Clothes that somebody already had, didn't want, etc. Before coronavirus started, I had every intention of teaming up with Sustainably Sage on Instagram, and we were gonna start a clothing swap here in San Antonio, and now the virus is here and we don't want to do that right now. But those are really fun things to get involved in, and they are completely free. These next few are ways to prevent food waste that cost you absolutely nothing, and the first one in this section is to utilize your freezer. I feel like there are so many.
Oh my god, freezing food comes in a clutch, especially like if you have food in your freezer and you're like I keep swearing in this video, I don't know why. If you have food in your freezer and you're like, oh my god, this is literally going to go to waste in like 2 days and you don't have time to finish it, put it in a freezer and you can literally eat it whenever you want. Some food freezes better than others, but it's better either way to just freeze it and then you can eat it whenever you want, especially like if you're getting tired of eating something. I love freezing soups especially because it just always tastes good when you reheat it.
Next up is to walk places, okay?
Walking is so underrated, you guys. Like when I went to college, I just realized how underrated walking is. Like walking, make walking great again. Make walking great again.
Include biking places, because in order to bike places you have to own a bike, which is not free, but walking, I'm pretty sure, is free. Especially if you live in Texas, I understand the struggle of not being able to walk a lot of places. I personally can walk to my HEB, which is a blessing. Walking is completely free.
What is HEB? HEB?
And no greenhouse gases are associated with it, so better for the planet. This next one I wanted to talk about because I think a lot of people don't know this exists, and I definitely know it's not utilized as often as it could be, so I wanted to discuss it, and that is drop-off recycling. So a lot of people tell me that they don't have recycling where they live, and I totally understand this. It's been a while since I've had to deal with this, and I would be so frustrated if that was still my situation. But where I grew up, we didn't have recycling.
I don't know if this is a Texas thing, but there was no recycling. like the hotel that I was in, I had like some things that I needed to recycle, and there was nothing in the room, like in the hotel room, to recycle. And I was like, okay, maybe they just don't want like a bunch of recycling to do every day, so maybe there's like a communal recycling. And then I went down to like the main area when I was checking out, and I was like, hey, I have a couple things to recycle, and they were like, oh, we'll take that. And then she threw it in the garbage, and I was like, what? And also, like, when I was just out and about in the city, there was no recycling bins. It was just garbage bins in like the city. What is up with that?
And my mom claims they still don't. I think she's full of shit. I think they do now. But I grew up where I grew up, you know, for 18 years, I didn't have recycling. I moved to College Station where we did not have recycling in our apartments. We had to take the recycling to drop-off facilities, like household recycling of cardboard, glass, aluminum, and plastic that you can take to drop-off places. That's what I did in college. But I'm also referring to other ways that you can go to drop-off recycling bins that are much more widely available at places like Walmart, Whole Foods, Best Buy, all those sort of things. So you can go to just...
Oh, I didn't even know they did that. I mean, I guess we have like recycling at our house, so I've never had to think about that, but that's pretty cool.
Just about any Walmart and get your soft plastics recycled, or if you live in Texas, you can go to HEB. They have drop-offs where you can take like
oh, it's like a store. I was so confused.
Plastics to be recycled. So I already did that in a vlog that you'll already have seen. I'm gonna link it right here. Go check it out. We took our plastic recycling and Madison was very grateful. At Best Buy, you can recycle electronic waste, and at our Whole Foods, you can even recycle wine corks. All of these recycling drop-offs are completely free and definitely something you should take advantage of, so that things aren't going to landfill as often. And last but not least, one of the greatest things you can utilize to be more friendly to the earth, stay informed, and not have to buy anything new is your library.
Library, oh my god, you guys, there's this app. It's called Libby. Let me show you guys what it looks like. This is the app. It's the top one up there, like the purple thing. Literally go download it right now, because connect it to your library card, and you're going to be able to literally read any book, not any book obviously, but you can read so many books as ebooks instead of having to like buy them off Amazon. Or there's audiobooks too. You can listen to so many audiobooks on Libby, and it's all completely free, like 100% free, and you're saving the planet obviously because you're decreasing demand for physical books. Library cards are so amazing, and I feel like apps like Libby, I think there's another one called Overdrive, you're basically able to use library cards like in the old days. I used to be a huge library kid. That was basically like my whole childhood, and this is like a newer, more modern way to do the library card thing. So definitely recommend Libby, and it's just so free. 100% free. Audiobooks, regular books, like physical books. I think I'm just gonna end it here because otherwise we're just gonna keep talking forever, and I have work in like 20 minutes, so I'm gonna go eat lunch so I can do that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll have all my social media linked down below so you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That was it for this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Stop.